Two teams, each made up of students with very different opinions. They'll be given the exact same challenge. Can they, despite their differences, come up with a shared solution? Each team will have time to discuss, debate, and try to reach a compromise. They'll do this in separate rooms with no idea what the other team is planning after time's up. Both teams return and present their compromise to a live student audience. After hearing both proposals, they'll each raise a sign that says, "I am convinced," to show which team has convinced them with their solution. And here is your host of this week's show, Victor.
Hello and welcome to DW77% and you are watching Convince Me. For today's topic, our topic is, should bullying be a crime? Let's meet our debaters and hear where they stand.
My name is Vahana Vijay Chelvid and I firmly support the motion that bullying should be a crime.
My name is Abidemi and I stand on the motion that bullying should not be a crime.
I am Nikorapu and I stand firmly in support of the motion that states that bullying should be a crime.
Let's meet the second team.
Hi, my name is Neha and I firmly am opposing the motion that bullying should be a crime.
My name is Victor Avuru and I stand firmly in support of the notion that bullying should be a crime.
My name is Michaela and I firmly oppose the motion that bullying should be a crime.
So are we ready for the breakout sessions? Are we ready? All right, great. So let's move to the breakout session and see you soon.
Bullying in Nigerian schools is more than hurtful. It's widespread and dangerous. A recent survey of secondary students in Edo State found 51.9% have experienced at least one type of bullying, while 27.9% admit to bullying others. National polling confirms about 34% of Nigerians faced bullying in secondary school, mostly physical and severe, beyond emotional and academic damage.
Words can hurt just as much as fists, but should they be punished the same way?
No, why would they?
They should be punished.
Why would they be punished the same way? That's not fair.
It is fair because bullying causes a lot of psychological trauma, causes things such as anxiety, PTSD. We cannot ignore the feelings of these people and the hardship of these people, all in the name of protecting the feelings and the comfort of an abuser.
What do you define as bullying? Bullying is a very thin, very hard to spot line. Banter and bullying are very confusing.
Bullying is like intentionally harming someone, knowing that you're trying to gain something out of them and you're trying to put them down.
How do you tell if the person is being bullied but they think it's banter?
Because based on what the victim feels, that's like the main thing.
If it's a crime, how do you plan to sentence them out? Do you plan to use the legal system? The jury, a court?
Yes, we plan to use the legal system, but it goes step by step. There's a process. First, we have, like, for example, if it's underage, we have schools, we have counseling, we have there's so many other options. Like, the whole point of criminalizing doesn't mean locking someone up. It doesn't mean ruining their lives. It means there's other types and other ways that we can help bullies become accountable.
How would you force them to go there without any legal authority?
Legal authority will be involved when it needs to be involved.
Once the police come, they have to go to court for you. The judge himself, or the jury rather, whatever, the process has to declare that the person is unstable and has to see a psychologist, has to see a therapist. He has to go through legal due process, otherwise it's illegal.
Team 1 is already deep in a heated debate. But how will Team 2 kick things off? Could we see some compromise here?
I would like to argue that 56% of school-based bullies left without legal repercussions are later convicted for at least one crime in life, while 36% are convicted for at least 3.
That's mainly because of the ineffectiveness of suspensions and expulsions in school. Bullies may leave school, spend time away, but when they come back, their character hasn't changed, their mindset and morals are the same. And that's because during that time away, they didn't receive any form of rehabilitation or behavioral treatment.
If schools are not effective enough to cause students to be able to face mental rehabilitation so that they come back better people, then I believe that it's time for legal repercussions to be administered so that we're sure that students are able to come back with a different mindset and they're not going to repeat their mistakes from the past.
But don't you think that legal repercussions are way too far? Imagine being a 12-year-old and simply just out of peer pressure or out of confusion, making a tiny little insult, and next thing you know, you're in jail. Imagine the effect that would have on the person. Yes, bullying is not right, but I don't think because of that, you should take them to jail and create this cycle of fear, revenge, and silence over and over and over again.
I think we should also consider how bullies get their behavior. Majority of bullies actually come from abusive homes and they experience child neglect. I don't think that these children should be punished for behaviors that they have learned from their parents, especially if these behaviors can be resolved with the right intervention.
If bullying is criminalized, bullies who have faced trauma from domestic homes and things like that can actually be given mental help and psychological help to battle that trauma, so that by the time they are done with their punishment, they won't come back and repeat the same crime again.
But why do you have to be named a criminal before you get mental help?
You don't have to be named a criminal before you get mental help. You can get mental help and then receive your criminal punishment.
I don't believe you need to face criminal punishment specifically in order to change one's behavior as a bully. Because if you look at the effects of even entering the juvenile justice system, it has such an adverse impact. Studies show that 60 to 70% of released delinquents can't even find a job after 5 years of being released from prison. Is this really the solution when they can simply just go and find rehabilitation and change their behaviors? Do they really have to go to prison?
I compel you to actually take into consideration the well-being of victims of bullying. For instance, now, victims can also develop mental illnesses such as anxiety and depression, which can eventually lead to suicide. If bullying becomes a major cause of suicide, then it should be treated as a crime because indirectly it causes death.
Team 2 is also facing some serious gridlock. Meanwhile, has Team 1 made any progress?
Like in a scenario, like for example, the Netflix show, Adolescence, like it's been watched by a lot. In the show, there's a boy named Jamie, right? And he ends up murdering a girl because of bullying and through rejection. And if it has to go to that extent, then yes, Jamie should be in court. Yes, there should be legal ramifications for what he did.
Maybe you misunderstood my point. For him to have to do something like counseling, have to go somewhere for a psychiatrist, a therapist, he must go to court. He is not obligated to go to court. He's free to do it if he wants to.
Okay, so what's the issue with the courts?
Not the court. If you say you want him to be rehabilitated,
Yes.
the issue with the courts is it takes too long, it's expensive.
Okay. But that's fine. We're not going to prioritize the fact that, we're not going to say because it takes too long, we're going to ignore it. Because it takes too long, we should let the people that are killing themselves because of bullying continue to kill themselves. People that are suffering with depression continue suffering with depression because we don't want the court to take too long. 30 days, that's fine. 30 days is better than a lifetime of sadness, sorrow, and depression. Just because it takes a while doesn't mean it shouldn't happen.
And so many lives are lost because of suicide. Like there was a study by the CDC that said that if a victim of bullying is 4.5 times more likely to commit suicide in the future. So are we just, because of court cases, because of time, because of money, because of resources, are we going to put someone's life on their line? I don't think that's very...
And additionally, besides just suicide, there's a study that shows that 70% of school shooters have been bullied, threatened throughout schools. This shows that bullying doesn't just affect the victim, it can affect everyone around them. And the fact that you're trying to say that we should prioritize time, money, or resources over life is just so inhumane. I don't think it's not really a feasible...
I've listened to your source. Now, I'd like to use a case study,
Sure.
specifically the EU in Netherlands. Fun fact in Netherlands, weed is legal. And guess what? They have a lower percent of addicted drug users in the Netherlands than in the US.
So what does that have to do with...
They don't criminalize using weed. They bring you there to rehabilitation on your own. You go there on your own willingly. They don't criminalize it.
But weed is not bullying.
Exactly.
Weed is not bullying. Weed is not the same thing. Bullying is an action that hurts other people. It's the way you handle bullying cannot be the same way you handle drug.
Some interesting comparisons in Team 1, but no real breakthrough yet. And over to Team 2.
We shouldn't ignore the fact that most bullies are just developmentally immature. Studies have shown that 35 to 45% of self-proclaimed bullies say that they didn't realize the harm they were inflicting or thought it was just joking.
Countries with more ruthless anti-bullying policies have seen a very significant reduction in school-based bullying scenarios.
Okay, but if we take it all the way to the courtroom, then the justice system is already overwhelmed by a plethora of different cases, and there are millions, if not billions, of bullying cases all around the world. How do you expect them to use all their money and resources effectively?
I still believe that bullying should be criminalized, but maybe not all bullying cases should be treated as severely. Minor bullying cases can be handled by police force and very simply and very quickly.
Okay, but what if, yes, the police force handle it, but the bully actually does not understand the harm and how hurtful their actions were towards the victim? Don't you think that punishment is not the answer? Why can't they just sit down and have a conversation with remorse to the other person so that they can understand how they hurt them and they can take accountability for their actions? It's not about incarcerating, it's about educating and teaching them what is right and what is wrong and how these behaviors are not acceptable. Because if you put them into jail or if you incarcerate them, it just creates more aggression. According to the American Psychological Society, punitive responses do not reduce bullying in the long term. In fact, they escalate aggression and they just create this unwanted cycle of fear, silence, and revenge. So what do you have to say about that?
If justice is administered, then victims of bullying will feel a sense of value, and just so they can know that their suffering has been acknowledged by the law force.
But you also have to consider that bullying doesn't stop behind bars. Just because you throw somebody in a jail cell doesn't mean that the character and behavior will automatically change all of a sudden. You have to take that person through rehabilitative processes so they know what they're doing, so they can build empathy, and so when they rejoin society, they know how to interact with people in a positive, constructive manner.
Wow, things are moving. They are actually getting closer to a solution they can all stand behind.
The whole point of criminalization is not to lock them up. It's not to torture. It's not to whatever. It's not for like negative reasons. It's for them to hold themselves accountable. Because, okay, let's agree with the points that you said about the rehabilitation centers, that like, people going to people going by themselves to rehabilitation centers. Do you really think that will work? I'm sorry, but there is
statistics have shown it works. The thing is, statistics have shown. I don't need statistics have shown it has worked.
Can you cite a statistic that shows that it works?
The mentality of humans is not to, do you like being forced to do something? If person don't want or is ready to change, they won't change.
And then the law will
the legal system has shown that.
The law would enforce that.
There's a difference between being forced to attend classes. That's not, like, if you don't want to, okay, you don't want to, fine. Humans are less likely to want to go to class, let's say, for example. But when it comes to bullying, somebody is seriously affected in that case. The feelings of the bully don't matter as much as the victim.
If the bully does not feel the need to change, he will not change.
But he will be forced to change.
You cannot force a person to change. It has been shown. Prison is here right now. People are still in prison, are they not?
Yes,
for how many years? They don't regret it. So people on that deathbed, they don't regret it.
I agree.
At 14, 15, 16, the ages where bullying is the most prime. Your brain is not fully developed. Your brain finishes developing at 21. Attaching criminalization, if you attach criminalization to them at such a young age, you might just believe that that's what you are.
Okay.
Team 1 is still going back and forth, but in Team 2, they are close to their first breakthrough.
I think I agree that bullying may not have to be criminalized, but I think there should be some sort of legal interventions, maybe fines or community service.
Okay, so when you say fines, have you thought about millions of families who can't even afford to pay for their child's school fees?
I would like to present a compromise. Instead of giving people fines which they might not even be able to pay off, I think we should go for the alternative of temporary restraining orders. This doesn't go on the bully's criminal record, and it also protects the victims from further bullying.
Okay. Sorry to cut you. Hold on, guys. This is very, very interesting, I must say. So, just to ask Adam what you say, what if in a case where, even after these restraining orders, this bully doesn't stop bullying others, what do you think should happen afterwards?
Well, I think during the time where they have a restraining order, they should also go for rehabilitative programs and behavioral treatment. Then if the bully still has not changed their ways, because it's entirely possible, they should be completely separated from the victim and maybe even isolated, not to a legal degree or to the degree of solitary confinement, just enough time for them to change their ways, realize their actions, and stop being so aggressive.
For some people, time isn't really enough for them to develop a mindset that will cause them to stop bullying others. So for some people, as long as they are not severely punished, people will still maintain their mindset.
It seems Victor will soon be convinced. Now the big question, can Team 1 still pull it together?
So since you're saying that bullying should not be criminalized, what solutions do you give? What solutions do you have to offer to mitigate the problem of bullying? Because we all know it's a big issue in society right now.
Okay, so maybe I talked about rehabilitation centers.
Okay.
But I don't think I've expanded on it properly enough.
Sure, we're listening.
We have in the Netherlands, I hope you know people are, you go there willingly and you come out changed, you come out better. Now, yes, you actually do. And yes, if you go there willingly.
So what about the people who are not willing?
You're going there willingly. You want to finish it. You have dedication. But if someone just forces you.
At the same time.
Now, the person refuses to go.
How likely is it that somebody that is bullying someone that hasn't even seen what is really wrong with what they are doing just wants to go? Like, how are you going to, what is it that's going to oblige them to know that what you did is wrong and want them to change? A person that's been bullying somebody, like, let's say, yeah, they've been bullying this person over and over again. They won't just randomly say, oh, okay, I'm bullying this person, I'm bullying them, okay, I want to go to rehab and get better. It's not like drugs. Drugs, you see the impact on yourself, like you see it, so you're like, oh, I want to go get better. Your family says, oh, you need to go get better. But bullying in society, in fact, bullying is normalized. People around you, they see somebody getting bullied and they don't say anything, they're quiet about it.
No, it's pushing it because it's not here yet. It's
so then
not
that's what we're saying.
thing yet.
Legal ramifications would make it a thing. It will make it have to happen.
You think putting a crime, making a legal title in an underdeveloped country that has barely any police force, barely anything, corrupted people, do you think that is much better? You think the legal system in America is worse?
Once again, what we're saying is you don't lock them up.
I just said lock them up.
I love this. I love it. And you guys are doing great. Nice. But we need to come to a conclusion, right? Right. So that's the whole essence of this. So I'll need to know, is anybody changing sides?
No, they haven't convinced me. Even they are underdeveloped country, how do you go to get an underdeveloped country to pass a law?
Okay, great.
So you say underdeveloped countries don't pass laws. So
Once again, I love this. I love the fact that you still believe in what you believe in, right? We have a last round, we have a last session where you have the chance to actually now talk to your live audience and tell us your point so you can actually convince us. Let's go out and finalize this, shall we?
Yep, sure.
Right, let's go.
Why don't we just come to a conclusion that we can put the bullies into rehabilitation? Because clearly if they're repetitively hurting someone, that means that they might have personal things going on, or they're also going through psychological problems that need to be inspected. So don't you think that the best way to come to an agreement is by putting them in either rehabilitation centers or, like Michaela said, temporary
restraining
orders?
I think as of now, I've come to a conclusion that is kind of similar to yours, so I agree with you to some extent.
Full on success, at least it seems. Victor has been convinced at first, but will they also be able to convince the audience?
All right, and this is the moment we've all been waiting for. It's time for the teams to come and actually convince us. Give me some energy. Are we ready? Yeah! Great, so starting with Team 1, Michaela.
In our breakout rooms, we managed to agree that rehabilitation does not have to happen with legal intervention. We also agreed that majority of bullies learn their behaviors from abusive parents, so they should be helped rather than punished. We also agreed that criminalizing bullying can destroy futures and effectively crush job aspirations and upheave education.
Great. So,
in my breakout room, though we were unable to come to a conclusion, some points like the legal system gives fear into what they're doing, makes people less likely to do it were raised, and also the cost of a jury and a trial and everything was also raised.
Now, if you want to actually convince the audience that's standing here, what are you going to say that you think would be able to buy them to your side?
If it was made illegal, the government would have to take charge of it. That would add millions of dollars, if not billions of dollars, to government spending, government deficit. That would affect the government's, for example, public infrastructure like healthcare, which is already very rare in some places, roads and stuff, might have to lose money, lose maintenance money in the name of preventing bullying, which can be done by other methods like private rehabilitation centers. And let's say bullying becomes a law. You cannot bully again. You and your best friend used to banter all the time. You could now be very possibly afraid of your best friend going to the police and reporting you for something you both of you will consider banter.
Oh, wow, that's a very, very interesting point, I must say. Just to be clear, this team here says bullying should not be criminalized, right? Yeah. All right, thank you very much. For team 2, who are we starting with? All right, Nicole.
So our team is saying that bullying should be criminalized. And we believe this because bullying is a very serious circumstance. And it's like the other team is trying to downplay it. It's not the same as assault. It's not the same as other crimes. It is. It has psychological damage. And in a lot of cases, it also has physical damage. Are we saying that we should ignore the victim's pain, their psychological trauma, PTSD, anxiety, people that commit suicide, commit self-harm, and so on and so forth, just because of some cost or just because we believe it would load the justice system, which isn't even correct, because we're not saying that we should take all bullying crimes to court. What we are saying is that if you name call, if you bully, you have to answer to the consequences, either if it's through counseling, either if it's through community service. In one way or the other, the legal system has to oblige you to do something. You're not going to get away with inflicting pain on others just because we don't want to flood the justice system. So basically what we're saying to you here is think about all the pain people go through. Think about their trauma. Think about how it affects the world. Think of all the school shootings around the world that were triggered by bullying. Bullying does not only affect the victim, but all of us around us. So we need to make sure to put a stop to it. And implementing legal actions makes sure that this happens. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
In addition to what Nicole said, that bullying is not just a childish mistake. It's not just kids being kids. It's harmful, it's intentional, and it affects lives all over the world. So it's time to treat it like what it is. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. The debate is debating. Both teams are on fire. But the question is, have you been convinced or confused? So it's time for questions. If you have questions from the audience, then we can hear you. All right.
Are you saying that people should not face the consequences of their actions and should be treated like softly, or I don't know the word for it?
What I'm saying is that we should be a little bit empathetic towards them. We should understand where they're coming from, where they get these attitudes from, and that not only give them rehabilitation, but also give them punishment. So not only will throwing these people in jail destroy their education, but it will also destroy their job aspirations.
You're not looking at how strong bullying is. You're looking at bullying as if it's just simple teasing, as if, saying somebody is ugly or saying somebody is stupid or something like that. But can we please talk about the fact that bullying can lead to suicide, that bullying can have strong psychological effects on people? And let me know whether your point still stands about bullying should not be a crime.
Okay, so we're not saying in the slightest that bullying is not a big issue, because indeed it is a deep issue, it's a deep problem. We're just saying that incarceration isn't the best way to deal with bullying. Why don't we educate instead of incarcerate? Take them to rehabilitation centers, study their thinking patterns, their behavioral patterns, understand why they behave this way so that they are able to change their behavior, so that they won't hurt other people. Most of the times when you take them to jail, they only get worse. If you look at mugshots of criminals, you can see the before and after. Before they go to prison and after, they have tattoos all over. You can tell that they become worse people. You can tell that they can develop mental health issues themselves. So why don't we educate instead of incarcerate? Why don't we heal, not harm, and teach bullies the impact that it has, change their mental thinking and their behavioral patterns, and show them that bullying actually has a bad effect on people.
Have we been convinced? Yeah. Are we ready to vote? Yeah. Just to be clear again, this is Team 1. And Team 1 is of the notion that bullying should not be criminalized. And this is Team 2. Team 2 is of the notion that bullying should be criminalized. Is that clear? All right, so we're going to show our cards now. We're going to show our boards now to what team we are with. If Team 1, who believes that bullying should not be criminalized, have been able to convince you today, please raise your cards. All right. So if Team 2, who believes that bullying should be criminalized, has been able to convince you today, please raise your cards. Okay, all right. So I think this is very clear. All right, so after our votes, Team 2, who stands for bullying being criminalized, have 25 votes. Please put your hands together for Team 2 as they are winners for today. Thank you very much, and thank you very much to my wonderful audience. Thank you very much to my wonderful Team 1 and then my wonderful Team 2. You guys did a beautiful job. Thank you very much for coming out here, and it's a wrap.